Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another WNBA lineup advice video here on DFS Zone. And before I continue on with the video, some quick notes. I will be live streaming again tonight, 6 o'clock, 1 hour before lock. So come on in and let's discuss a little bit about the slate. All right, guys. So again, I'll be on 6 o'clock tonight. We'll be on for about 40 to 45 minutes. And I always like to give myself 15 minutes or so that I can review if I have to make any changes. Let's learn from one another. I'll give you what I got to offer you. By then, I will have more data, more statistical data, information, and we'll be able to narrow down some more picks for sure by that time. All right, so just come on down, spread the word, and let's get together at 6 o'clock. All right. With that being said, man, today is Thursday, July the 19th, 2018. We have a three-game slate in the WNBA with New York at Atlanta, Washington at Dallas, Las Vegas at Phoenix. I believe I have implied totals for all three games. Let's go to game number one. We have New York going over to visit Atlanta. These teams have played each other one time before. New York won that game in New York, 79-72. That was much earlier in the season. Implied totals for this game are 162, with Atlanta favored at home by 9. Okay, Atlanta's coming in 13-9, and they're also coming in red hot. Okay, these girls are playing really well right now. They are 13-9, and they've won 5 straight games, and they're 3-0 in that stretch at home in their home court. And they're about to play their fourth game in six previous games on their home court. They're coming in 11th in the league and scoring at 78.7 points per game, pretty much 79 points per game. They're third in pace, about 82 possessions per game. They are 11th in field goal percentage at 41.2%. They are dead last, shooting from three at 30.1%. They are fifth in rebounding at 35.9, pretty much 36 rebounds per game. They're 10th in assists at 17.6, third in steals at 7.5. They are first in the league in blocks with 5 blocks per game. Percentage points from two, they're fairly good there. They're in the middle of the pack, sixth in the league, shooting 58.9%, pretty much 59%. Points per game given up to guards, they're offering up 31.2 points per game. That's fourth in the league, and they're eighth in points per game given up to forwards and centers at 50.5 points per game. All right, on the other side of the ball, New York is coming in 7-15. They are 2-3 over the course of their last 5 games, and 1-1 in those games during that stretch on the road. They're coming in ninth in scoring at 79.2, pretty much 79 points per game. They're ninth in pace at 79.1, pretty much 79 possessions per game. They're 10th in field goal percentage at 43.3%, ninth in three-point shooting at 32.5%. They're 7th in rebounding at 32.9, pretty much 33 rebounds per game. They're 6th in assists at 19.8. You can round that off to about 20 assists per game. 5th in steals at 7.3, dead last in blocks at 2.5 blocks per game. Percentage points from the floor from two are 57.7%. That's 7th best in the league, just slightly behind Atlanta. So I consider that an even category there. Points per game on the defensive side, points per game given up to guards, they are tied for 10th, so they're in the bottom of the league right now, giving up 34.3 points per game. And points per game given up to forwards and centers, they are fifth at 47.9 points per game, pretty much 48 points per game. On the slate, as far as guards, man, we have your guards, Tiffany Hayes, in this matchup. Tiffany Hayes is definitely in play, guys. I mean, 7,500. She is pricey for value. She's at 37. You need 37 actually to get value off of her at 7,500. She hasn't really hit 37 that often over the course of the last 7 games, but she has a 30 spot, 32 spot, and a 36 spot, respectively, over the course of 7 games. The next thing you want to look at is you want to see if she's somewhere near her fantasy points per game average, which is 28, and I would say she's had 28 once, twice, 3 times, pretty close here, 4 times. So you say maybe 5 out of the last 7 games. So I would say, considering the matchup that they're facing, the 10th defending team against guards, I would give Tiffany Hayes is someone to consider here in today's slate. Brittany Boyd, I'm not on Brittany Boyd. Brittany Sykes, possibly 5,500. Sykes, you need about 27. She's averaging 19. We'll take a quick look at her. I know I had her in the last game. She did not play well, only played 19 minutes. and only got 13 fantasy points, but she has 25-point upside. She has actually 30-point upside. She got a 38 spot here against Indiana, but 25, 27. So 2 out of the last 3 games, she's at 25 plus. And in the course of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of maybe the last 10 games, she's probably had 6 or 7 games where she's had at least 20 points or better. So slowly but surely, her first, fantasy points per game have gone up. But she's someone to consider simply because of the matchup. Um, if you're not going to go with Hayes, definitely you can try $2,000 cheaper, give Sykes a shot. Bria Hartley's probably the only New York team I may have consideration here. She is at 5,000 on the nose, and you need 25 pretty much to cover value there. And she's had 25 or better in 2 straight, and she's had a 26 spot here, a 20 here. She's capable. She's 18. I look at 18, and right away I see 18, 26, 28, 28. I would say 4 out of her last 6 games she has hit 18 average or better, and that's enough to at least give me at least put me in a position where I say I have to look at her a little bit further with some more statistical data, like how well they're defending against guards and so on and so forth with the opposition. So I'll look at that, and I'll have better idea later on. But I definitely like her there. Other than her there, I'm not too much on anybody else. New York, I was on Zelius the last game. She didn't come through. I'm not on any on the bottom tier girls. Yeah, I pretty much think that's it. I mean, Alex Bentley's not getting a lot of minutes. She's not playing that well since coming over to Atlanta. I don't know what's the deal there. Renee Montgomery could be a little sleeper, but she is a little pricey, 4,700. So yeah, let's move on. Forward, Tina Charles definitely in play in this game. Okay, 8,200. Tina Charles, she's averaging for 8,200 you need about 41 from her, and she's averaging 34. So as you can see here, right away you see that she hasn't been hitting 41 or better. So we got to see if she's at least been at 34. She's at 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 out of her last 5 games, she's hit at least 34 or better. So that's enough for me to consider her in this matchup. And then I look to see how well Atlanta is defended against them. And Atlanta, as I said, they are 8th in defending forwards. So I'll look into this a little bit further and have more information on that later. But she also has put up a 48 spot in that one game against them. So that's always something you can definitely take a positive note out of. Where is it? Atlanta, right here. Yeah, 33 minutes, 29, 8, 3, and 2, 48 fantasy points. So she definitely smashed them up really good the first time around. I would say she has a shot. She's going to have to do that. She's going to have to play that well if New York is going to stay in this game, because Atlanta up front, like I've said before, I really like their top 3 girls up front. They are a very formidable front court team. Then we got Angel McCoughtry. Definitely play there. The front court of these girls are definitely in sync right now. Everybody's playing so well. McCoughtry, Breland, Williams, they're all in play here. Other than that, nobody else here I am in favor of. Maybe slightly a Monique Billings. You can consider her. She's at 3.2. You need about 15, and she's been averaging about 12 plus over the last 2 games. But McCoughtry in play. 7,800, you need 30, pretty much 37, 38, and she's averaging 32. Yeah. She had a 37 spot against Connecticut, a 39 here against Washington, 32 here against Phoenix. She's playing well, man. She's playing well. She's picked it up as of late. Breland has been, outstanding. All these girls in play, man. It's just a matter of how much money you want to spend. So if you can get a McCoughtry in here, if you don't want McCoughtry, say $400, you will not be at all disappointed with Jessica Breland in this matchup. I think it's going to be tough for New York to handle all 3 of these girls. Elizabeth Williams starts at center, and she's at 6,500, and she's been very, very good as well too. And I've used her 2 or 3 times during the course of this stretch here, and she has done well. She had a 31 spot here against Indy in 19 minutes, 34 here in 23 minutes. 27 spot in 34 minutes against Connecticut the other day. She's starting to score. She's a rebounder. What I like best about her is she's a shot blocker, and those are big fantasy points for us. So it's definitely something to consider there. Other than that is it here. If Dantes is it's just a game time decision for Dantes. If she's playing, then obviously that helps out Atlanta a little bit. If she's not playing, then Marissa Coleman is back, but I don't see Marissa Coleman being a factor here in this game. They're going to need her to be back, and they're going to probably pencil her in right away because, she's a little bit more athletic. and they're gonna need the help against these three girls. Anyway, that's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it for this actual game. Let's move on to game number 2. Washington at Dallas. Washington at Dallas. All right, implied totals for this game are 177 with Dallas favored by 4. They got this as a very fairly close game. These teams have not met at all this year, which is really, really surprising after almost 20 somewhat games. But I mean, this should be definitely an interesting game. I still think Dallas has the upper hand here at home. But let's look at the numbers, man. Dallas at 13-9 coming in. They're 2-3 over the course of the last 5 games, which is really poor. They're under 500, and they're 500 on the nose during that stretch, with 4 of those games being at home and winning 2 and losing 2. So that's the one little scary note you could take out of going into this game for Washington, who has had some time off. For them to come in here and possibly surprise Dallas, I would not be at all surprised. All right. Team statistics, Dallas coming in points. They're first in points at 87.9 points per game, pretty much 88 points per game. They are second in pace with 82 possessions per game. Fourth in field goal percentage at 45%. 11th in three-point shooting. We know Dallas does not shoot the rock well from 3. They're at 31.3%. Third in rebounding, 36.4 rebounds per game. They're ninth in assists at 18.2 assists per game. Sixth in steals with 7 steals per game. Second in blocks with 5 blocks per game. Percentage points from 2, they're ninth in the league, pretty much in the lower tier, 54%. Points per game given up to guards, they're 7th, giving up 32 points per game to guards. And they're 4th in the league in points per game given up to forwards and centers at 47.8. You could round that off to about 48 points per game. On the other side of the ball, Washington is coming in 13-9. Over the course of the last 5 games, they're 2-3. So both teams have been struggling, playing under 500 ball over the course of 5 games. And during that stretch, they are 1-2 on the road. So they're definitely coming in as a losing team on the road as well. So we move on as far as points. Washington is 4th in the league in scoring at 84.5 points per game. They're 8th in pace at 79.5, pretty much 80 possessions a game. Pretty much all the teams are kind of balanced out all the way through the top 8 or 9 as far as pace. 7th in field goal percentage, 44.2%. 2nd in three-point shooting, definitely an area that they should definitely target over Dallas, is that they are better three-point shooters. So 36% from there. They're 9th in rebounding at 32.6 rebounds per game, 11th in assists at 16.8, 4th in steals at 7.3 steals per game, 7th in blocks, 3.7 blocks per game. They're 11th in points per game, percentage points from 2, 51.5%. They're 5th in points per game given up to guards at 31.4 points per game, and they're 7th in points per game given up to forwards and centers at 49 points per game. We look at the guards standing out right away. Diggins Smith, guys, hands down, she's in play. That's just, I mean, there's no way that you would not at least consider having Diggins Smith on your team. She's coming in. She's 8,400. You need pretty much 42. And she has put up 3 massive. 3 out of her last 5 games, she's hit 50+. So, and that's pretty much what you need to know. And they have not played each other. But Christy Tolliver is not the greatest defender, and that's who she's going to face a little bit of. So Christy Tolliver is next. So Diggins Smith definitely in play, guys, all right? 50+ upside. If you're willing to pay the price, you definitely get her in some of your lineups. Christy Tolliver, I'm mentioning her simply because she is capable of having big games. She's had decent games against good guards. She gets up for certain games. Sometimes she doesn't. But majority of the time, like here, Seattle, 36-36 against Jewel Lloyd. 35 spot here against Connecticut's backcourt. 36 spot here against Chicago. All right. 35 here with Connecticut. 40 here versus Connecticut. 40 here against Phoenix and Taurasi and them. So she gets up for some of these big games. And you know what? She has a game today that she needs to step up. She's facing Diggins Smith, one of the best guards in the league, probably the best guard in the league. And she's going to have to step up if Washington is going to have a chance here, because she's their second leading scorer. All right, so that's something to point out here. Even though her price is high for what she's averaging, I'm not quite on her, but I think she's a worthy mention here to not sleep on Christy Tolliver. All right, Ariel Atkins, she's one of these other girls here that plays small forward for their team. She is another one of these guards, another one of these players that is labeled here on FanDuel as a guard and not on a forward, not as a forward, but plays strictly forward for their team. So please remember that when you choose Ariel Atkins, you basically are getting a fifth forward. And then you also, so Ariel Atkins, for me, Ariel Atkins could be a sneaky play, 5,300. They need somebody to score. If it's not going to be Christy Tolliver, Ariel Atkins is going to have to do it in the front court. But when you're thinking of the front court, you're thinking Ariel Atkins is going to go up against girls like Sanders, Elena Deladon. She's gonna face these girls. I mean, Elena does. She's gonna face She's gonna deal in the front court with Kayla Thornton and Gloria Johnson. Their front court with Liz Cambage, Johnson, and Thornton to start, and then having Stevens come off the bench is really, really a tough front court for them to deal with. So Ariel Atkins is definitely going to have a hands full, so I think it's a tough matchup for Alicia Gray definitely in play, 4,900. I like Alicia Gray. You need about 24 to cover that price, and she's averaging 18, and she's been doing 18 or better in pretty much 2 straight games. She's been phenomenal, 28 and 29, and she's had a 24 spot here as well. Of course, these teams have not met, so it'll be the first time that she's facing these girls. But I think Alicia Gray is definitely someone to consider here. This is definitely a disappointment. Natasha Cloud hurt, concussion protocol. She is out for today's game. Definitely helps Atkins to be on the floor a little bit more. Of course, Christy Tolliver to step up her game even more so. And then, of course, you have Ruffin Pratt and Curry are probably going to get more time on the floor. So something to consider there. I don't think is big value for Monique or for Tara Ruffin. I think they'll probably try to hopefully Ariel plays well, and they'll keep her on the floor more in the front court as far as a scorer. And Christy Tolliver to have a massive game, they'll keep her on the floor longer. I think that they will go in that direction more, maybe, in my opinion, than using Curry or Pratt for a long period of time. But they could be possible good value plays there. Other than that, that's basically it in the backcourt. We go to the front court. Liz Cambage had that monstrous game the other day, record-breaking performance. For her to come back to back and do that is going to be tough, but she is definitely in play. 8,800, man. There's no doubt about it. 44. She needs 44 to cover that price, and she is averaging 40. She had these very moderate games here, 26, 21, and 29 against Seattle, LA, and Phoenix. Did have the monster game against New York, 86, and a 40 spot against New York the previous time were the best 2 games for her. But she has, as you can see, 60 plus upside. I won't go 80 plus upside, but she definitely got 80, so she's capable of doing it. I just don't see it happening 2 games in a row, but I think she'll get you at least 40 or better, so she's definitely in play. And not only that, looking a little bit further, Washington, has given up 48 to Griner, 43 to Charles, and 51 to Asia Wilson, something to note there. So Liz Cambage definitely has a shot to get 40 or better if those 3 girls were able to put up those kind of numbers against the Washington Mystics. Elena Deladon, 8,500, definitely in play as well. She's a little cheaper, $300 cheaper. She has 40 as close. She has 40, 45 pretty much plus upside. As you can see here, she has 50 plus upside. 48, 44, 31, 49. She's averaging 39, and she has had 39 or better in 3 out of the last 4 games, and they were all 40-point games. So she's been playing fairly well. Hasn't faced this team yet. We know up front Dallas is definitely a little vulnerable, but as far as giving up points to big players, actually they have done very well. And my latest look last night, 30 and 33 to Griner, which is a tough player to defend. They only gave up 30 fantasy points and a 33 in the 2 games. Asia Wilson was the only player that lit them up for a 64 spot, and I believe that was without Elena Deladon on the court. And 30, 28, and 38, 28 and 38 for Tina Charles, and that's pretty low for Tina Charles. So they definitely defend the big men fairly well. So do not sleep on Cambage and everybody else over here. Glory Johnson and Kayla Thornton, and making sure that Elena Deladon doesn't have a big game. But I think she is definitely someone you can consider in today's game. Not on Glory Johnson, even though she has been playing a lot better. Her number is still high as far as price, but she has had some good games. Here I do like Azura Stevens. Azure Stevens. Azure Stevens is someone that you could definitely consider. Her price is pretty high, 6,300. You pretty much need from her 31, 32, and she has a 30, 35, and 37, 35 spots here and a 37 here. She's pretty much averaging way above 19 over the course of the last 7 games. I have her here 6 out of the last 7 games at 20 plus. So I mean, she is someone to consider coming off the bench. Coming on next is Miss Sanders. 6,000. I think Sanders is definitely in play as well. You need 30 from her. She's put up 30 in 2 straight games, and she is pretty good for about 25 to 30 on a regular basis, and she has 35 plus upside. And they're gonna need her up front here today, and she's very, very physical. Very physical. I think she's the most physical girl here, and that's gonna give problems to Thornton and Johnson if they don't really step up, because she definitely loves the bang. So Latoya Sanders is definitely someone I would consider here. All right. Kayla Thornton definitely in play well as well. A lot of good players up here in this matchup. Mostly the Dallas girls are definitely very, very good. Kayla Thornton has been on fire. 5,700. You need 27 from her, and she is at 29.30. So 20 spot in 1, 2, 3. In the last 3 games, she's been at 19 plus, smashing her average, and of course smashing value. The minutes have been incredible. 29 to 37 to 33. She's been at 33 plus for the last 2 games. And, I think she's going to be an important factor in today's game in this particular matchup. Going down to the lower tier players here. Tiana Hawkins. Hawkins, no. Caleb Joy. I'm not on anybody here, to be honest with you. No one else at all. Game number 3. Let's move on. I will have more information, like I said, in the live stream later tonight. Vegas at Phoenix. Phoenix implied totals 169 totals, with Phoenix favored at 8 at home. Phoenix is coming in 15-8. Oh, and before I go on with that, they have played each other twice, and Phoenix has won both of those games. Game 1, they pulled that one out 72 to 66. In Game 2, it was 92 to 80. Phoenix, like I said, coming in 15-8, one of the top teams in the league. In the last 5 games, they've been under 500 though. 2 and 3, very, very important things to always look at is how well the team has been playing as of late. They're 2 and 3 over the course of the last 5 games, and only 1-0 during that 5-game stretch. They've only had 1 game at home, and they won that game, and they're 1-0. They come in as the 5th leading scoring team in the league, putting up 83.7 points per game. They're 6th in pace with 80 possessions per game on the nose. They're 3rd in field goal percentage at 45%. They're number 1 in 3-point shooting at 36%. They're 11th in rebounding, which they definitely struggle all year long. They're 31.6 rebounds per game, an area to target for Vegas. 2nd in assists at 20.6 assists per game. Definitely a very, very good number there. They're 11th in steals at 6.3 steals per game. 3rd in blocks at 4.9, pretty much 5 blocks per game. That's about 3 teams in the slate that are at about 5 blocks per game, tops in the league. Percentage points from 2, they're dead last, surprisingly. 50.7, pretty much 51% of their points come from 2. 6th in the league in defending guards, they're 6th. Giving up 31.9, pretty much 32 points per game. And they're 2nd right now on my list as far as defending forwards and centers at 45.7 points per game. On the other side of the ball, we got Las Vegas coming in 10 and 13. In the last 5 games, Vegas has been hot. They are 4-1 over the course of 5 games, and they're 2-0 during that stretch on the road. They come in 6th in the league in scoring at 82.7 points per game. They are 1st in the league in pace with 83 possessions per game. 8th in field goal percentage at 43.7%. 7th in 3-point shooting at 35.2%. 2nd in rebounding at 37 rebounds per game. That's a plus minus of 5 against Phoenix. Definitely a big, big plus. Assists, they're 3rd in the league at 20.3 assists per game. 10th in steals at 6.4. 5th in blocks with 4 blocks per game. Percentage points from 2, they're 1st at 64.7%. Nearly 65% of their points are from 2. 9th in the league in defending guards at 34.1 points. That's the area you can target. They struggle against guards a little bit. Points per game given up to forwards and centers. They are also 9th in that category as well at 51.7 points per game, pretty much 52 points per game. This ball game has a lot of interesting players, a couple girls that I definitely do think they're worthy of playing, being in people's lineups today. Diana Taurasi is definitely, hands down one of the players you should definitely consider. She's at 8,000. You need 40 to cover that to meet value. And she has been, let's see here. She's averaging 35 pretty much over the course of the last. She's averaging 35 over the last 1, 2, three, four, five, six, seven. Over the course of about 10 games, I calculated she's averaging about 34, 35, which is above her average. She hasn't hit 40 that much. She did get close here against Indiana, and she had a 46 spot here. But she has 40, she has 45 plus upside, so why not? And the 2 games against Vegas, right here, 31 minutes, 47 fantasy points. She lit them up with 28, 4, 7, and 2. And in the previous game, 36 spot in 32 minutes with 25, 4, 3, and 1. So she has definitely have owned the Las Vegas Aces backcourt. So expect her. She is a better player than Kayla McBride today, even though they're facing each other. Dewana Bonner. So Taurasi is in play, guys. Dewana Bonner is in play as well. Remember, Dewana Bonner, I've mentioned it before. I will mention it again. She is a starting forward for the Phoenix Sun. The Phoenix Mercury. Sorry, confusing the 2 teams. Dewana Bonner starts as small forward for this team. So just remember that. All right. Bonner is definitely in play. $7,700. You got to compare her $7,700 salary price compared to the FanDuel players that are under the forward and center position. So that's what you got to look at there. But at 35, 36, the minutes are massive. 36, 32. I mean, she's 6 out of her last 8 games. She has hit 31 or better, which is her average. All right, and she has had a 31 spot against Vegas here in 29 minutes, so that's more than 1 fantasy point per minute. And from previous videos, as well as Taurasi, Bonner and Taurasi for Phoenix, they are very high, as well as Griner, as far as fantasy points per minute. So you definitely always got to try to consider these girls because of that. All right, 29 in 31 minutes is fantastic. And then the first time around, she did put a 25 spot in Game 1 against Vegas in 30 minutes, a little bit lower scoring game there, but she's definitely in play. McBride is in play because she gets up for big games like this as well. It's just her price at $7,600. I'd rather pay even $100 more and take Bonner, even though she's a forward, or just jumping straight up to $400 more for Taurasi. But she's in play. I mean, just really quickly, McBride, 4 out of her last 8 games at 30 plus, so she's definitely playing like 500 as of late. But in those 4 games were all 40 plus games. Okay, we'll take a very quick look there because I want you guys to see that 40, 45, 46, and 48. All right, so she is capable of getting you 40 plus. She's definitely good for GPP, and she gets up for some of these games against top players. But she didn't play well. I have her 26 in the last game against Phoenix in 30 minutes and a 26 spot in Game 1. So she has not had good games against Phoenix thus far this year. So with that, that's one of the reasons why I would lean more towards Taurasi. Tamara Young is another one. She is here under guard, but she plays small forward and power forward pretty much for Vegas. She's in the front court with Vegas with Ms. Park and Ms. Asia Wilson. Okay, so she's just as well as Bonner here. If you choose her, she is nearly $1,900 cheaper than Bonner. So that's why I'm mentioning her, is that she is a possible play here. 5,800. You need 28, and she's averaging 22. And 4 out of her last 6 games, she's averaged 27 or better. So she's actually her fantasy points per game average is slightly moving up. She's playing well over the course of the last 4 or 5 games. And she had a 28 spot against Phoenix here in 26 minutes, 1 fantasy point per minute. She did have a dud game in the first game. 23 minutes here, only put up 2 points and 6 fantasy points. So, but she has, the potential to give you 30 plus. So someone to consider there. She could definitely make value. Kelsey Plum, she's just, again, the backcourt is McBride and Plum. Okay, just remember that. She's the starting point guard. KP, 5,100. Yeah, you can give her a shot too. I wouldn't be at all opposed to that. She's averaging 16, and we see here 16 pretty much here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 6 out of the last 8, 9 games. She's averaging 16 or better. At that price, you need about 25. She ain't quite there. She hit 25 only once over the course of 4 games, so you can look at that and say, yep, no, maybe not so. But as far as matchup is concerned, Phoenix being I have Phoenix being 6th in the league at 31, pretty much 32 points a game given up to guards. There's a possibility. If it's not Kayla McBride, then it'll be maybe KP, who may have a decent game. So someone to consider. All right, I think she's still a little pricey, but not a bad play. Down here a little lower, I'm not on Turner, Mitchell, or January. I do like Mariah Jefferson at 3,600 as a value play in this actual game. 3,600. She needs pretty much 15, and she's averaging 12. And she's been putting 12 or better in 4 straight games with a high of 19. And she's doing that all pretty much on 1 fantasy point per minute on average. So not too bad. If she was to get a little bit more minutes, you know, we will get a little bit more from her. But she could be a possible play here if you wanted to save some money and get someone in that is getting at least 17 minutes or better and be able to push that other cash to more of a stud play. Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner definitely in play, guys. 8,700. All right. She's averaging pretty much 40, and for that price, you need about 43, 44. She had a 50 big game, 50-plus game here against Indiana. She is also another one that's been a little up and down over the course of the few games. She's not been averaging 40 prior to this game 1, 2, 3, 4 games. All right, but you know she's capable. She's 55-plus upside, and looking at her, she's facing against Washington, and like I said before, facing Washington. She's facing Las Vegas here, and in the 2 games against Las Vegas, she just murdered them. So I'm not looking so much at this. I like the fact that she just came off a 54 fantasy point performance where she put up 36, 12, and 2, which is really ridiculous numbers, more than 1 point per minute on the floor. So that's even way better than fantasy point per minute. But against Vegas, you can see here 36. Is that the first game? Yeah, 36, 24, 8, 2, and 6, and 1. She lit up the freaking stat sheet, put up 55 massive fantasy points. And then the first game around 33 minutes, 19, 15, 2, 7, and 1, 64 spot. So she put a 64 spot and a 55 spot against Vegas. Man, that's enough for me. You definitely have to consider her. Asia Wilson, she's in play $500 cheaper because Phoenix is not like they shut down, big athletic forwards like Asia Wilson. She's definitely here gonna have to, for them to play well and for Vegas to have a shot here. She's definitely gonna have to play well. She did put a 50 spot here. I think in the games against Phoenix, she did not put up big numbers. She had 32 here minutes and 4. She put a 40 spot in 32 minutes here and a 28 and 33. So obviously, if you're looking at that, you say, hey, you know what? Phoenix being at home, Brittany Griner has lit them up for 2 times. She's $500 more expensive. Yeah, Brittany Griner, sure, hands down, should be the one that you play. Asia Wilson is someone you can consider. I'm not on Asia Wilson today, but Brittany Griner, to me, it definitely is the best play here. And when you look down here, obviously, there's really nothing else here. Just remember that when you look at this matchup here, and you're looking at Hamby, Park, Little, well, these, Hamby doesn't play. She comes off the bench. Park is a starter at center. Camille Little is playing right now because of the other Little being hurt. And then your other forwards for both of these teams are Bonner and Young. So basically, you're looking at these girls here, but they belong over here. So that's why these numbers look crazy. So now you got to say to yourself, which is the better deal? Is it Bonner or Young? Because they're playing against each other today. I would say Bonner and pay up, right? So that's another way to look at it. All right, guys. So just remember that sometimes these girls, especially here on FanDuel, they have them in the wrong spots. Now, they don't have them as forwards, but they basically have them at guard. We go down here as far as value play. I'm not on Park. Little may be someone you can consider here, okay, and maybe Angel Robinson. Those are the only 2. Little here, she's at 3.9. You need 19, and she's averaging 11. So I would definitely, and then as of late, she's been cracking more. She's like just smashing 11, 17 here, 21 and 19. She's getting some minutes. She's getting some time. She is actually playing, and on the floor, she is starting pretty much most of those last few games. Other than that, Angel Robinson coming off the bench, she's been great as well. I've used her once or twice over the last few games, and she came through. I had her here with this Connecticut game, put up 27. That was great. And then last game out, only 14 minutes, 12. Is a little up and down, but, if you are looking to get a value play that could get you maybe possibly 15 to 20 minutes or better, then Angel Robinson may be one. Camille Little may be another. All right? And that's pretty much it. I will be back again, guys. I will be back later on. Obviously, I'm going to do some more statistical data research. I'm going to nail this all down. any upcoming news, any new news, any changes in lines, any changes in as far as injury report or anything. I will have all that for you at 6 p.m. today, and we will discuss not only the lineup. We will go over that news, and most importantly, with the live stream is I really just want to interact and start building a great rapport with my viewers. That's pretty much it. I want to make the community a very, very strong community where we all work with one another and help each other out. Because remember, all of us here are DFS players, and not all of us here are sharks. I sure am not a shark. I am not throwing thousands of dollars a game, a night on fantasy sports. Now, if I ever get to that point, maybe I will do pretty much the same thing, and we will probably all do that. But for the time being, we all want to just be consistent players and consistent winners. And that's basically all I want to be able to share with you guys. What are the necessary things I do on a regular basis? Because this is pretty much the way I am. This is pretty much what I do, before I make decisions. And I don't win every single night, so nobody's going to win every single night, including Sharks. They have a better chance because they make 150 lineups or 100 lineups or 50 lineups. Anybody will have a better chance if they're putting that because they're using leverage. But unfortunately, for us smaller players, we only play 4 or 5 lineups a night or 10 lineups a night. We're not going to win consistently, but or win the big GPPs consistently. But we want to at least pull one down. I always try to shoot for trying to get one down at least once every 2 weeks or once a month. And even then it's very, very difficult, but it does happen. I could attest for that. I've won a few times, so I know that is very much possible. All right, guys. All right, so with that being said, man, hey, drop a like on the video. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so already. And again, share the video, share share the video, speak to the people you may know who's on DFS that's probably looking for some additional help, some more insight, more advice, anything, anything that I can possibly help, I will do. And I'll see you guys at 6 o'clock today for the live stream. All right, you guys have all a great day.